What's your backstory? How did you get into all this? Did you think you were going to do this when you were growing up?
No. I went to Madison for a degree in engineering and got 3 years into the program and changed my mind. Went into interior design and kind of ended up getting a degree in graphic design. My last semester I took a class in metals and I loved it, but I didn't want to stay for an extra year in school when I could graduate. So I graduated and then I moved to Ireland for a year and kind of apprenticed with jewelers while I was over there. And then when I came back, I did a trade school and got a certificate in goldsmithing and blacksmithing there.
How'd you end up in Ireland?
They speak English and I needed a job.
You couldn't get an English-speaking job in the U.S., so you just went over there?
Yeah, it was like, you have an art degree, and then what's next? Yeah, Europe. I kind of just started, I learned the trade as I started the business. When I first got started, I was making earrings out of like washers and nails and just wire wrapping stuff. Anything I could find. I didn't have any soldering experience. I'd only taken one class in it. I didn't have any equipment. So I just started selling everything I could make with what I knew. And then with that money, buying, blowtorch, just different tools and stuff that I would need to move forward. So it's kind of been like a slow burn. It took me like 6 years into business before I was making like engagement rings and bigger orders like that.
Yeah. Was that like, were you working odd jobs on the side to pay the bills, or were you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the first 6 years of business, I always had like some sort of part-time job.
Uh-huh.
I worked for an art collector for many years, which was great. I got to travel a lot for that job, and I was still in the arts. That was really fascinating. Yeah, lots of odd jobs.
What was the biggest struggle with that? We're kind of living in an age where there's not a lot of patience, there's a lot of immediate gratification. You kind of, stayed at it for 6 years before really seeing any success, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, the struggle was probably just financially, but other than that, I loved it.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to be following my dreams, and I guess like I never really stopped believing that it would happen.
Uh-huh.
So just trust in it was good.
Yeah. And you said it took 6 years to get it going. What was the big break you had, or the realization, or a turning point for you? Obviously, you have this nice store now. You sell all over the world. You've been featured in those big magazines. How did that kind of all happen?
I think you just kind of eventually have to take the leap. Like I needed a part-time job for the first few years so I could learn the skills, and then once I have them, it's like just go for it. It's almost like you can't have a plan B. If you have a plan B, like you can always fall back on it.
Right.
So it's like you take that second job out of the mix and just really depend on it. It's amazing how you can make stuff happen.
I always kind of admired your work ethic and how kind of hard you went at it. How did that get instilled in you, and what, kept you going really, or keeps you going?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the only option. If you're going to do it, you got to do it. Like you never want to think back and think like, oh, what if I would have, worked a little bit harder?
Right.
Like, I've never thought that. So like I just work as hard as I can. And especially when you're starting a business, like you can't really say no. Like what I got my first few years in business were the people that like forgot to get Christmas gifts but still wanted to get something like special. So they come in on like the 23rd and they're like, hey, can you do this for me by tomorrow? And the answer is yeah.
Yeah.
If it's at all possible, like you just do it because like those people come back, they appreciate it. And like that's like the slow growth of a small business.